The clerk in Fulton County, Georgia, who leaked the indictment against President Trump and 18 others has spoken out. Let's see what she has to say. How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about the clerk down there in Fulton County, Georgia, who, quote unquote, accidentally leaked the indictment against Trump and 18 others to the press by publishing it on an official website. Now, this story is ridiculous for a variety of reasons. First of all, how was the so-called leaked indictment that Georgia was saying was not really real, it's fictitious, how was that indictment the exact same indictment that came out later when it was officially revealed? What's going on with that? And how was the DA, Fani Willis, not aware of what's going on? Doesn't she sign off on it? There are so many questions, so many different avenues to go through. Some would say this is a dog and pony show, foregone conclusion. Before the grand jury even convened, you guys had the indictment and put it out because you knew they were going to vote in the affirmative. Before I even go down that road, let's get into the news clip. If you want to see this clip in full, link as always will be in the description box. If you're on IG, visit the link in the bio, go to the corresponding article on the website. But without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
And Linda, Shea Alexander says she was under a lot of pressure to make sure this process went smoothly. There were no hiccups. She says in trying to be perfect, she made a mistake, and instead of hitting save, she hit send.
I am human.
Fulton County Clerk of Court Shea Alexander says even though she's human, she strives for perfection.
And that's how the mishap happened.
The mishap was she inadvertently posted the indictment charges against former President Donald Trump, even though the grand jury was still deliberating Monday. That set off a media firestorm and had Trump's attorneys saying prosecutors had no respect for the grand jury process. Alexander said this had nothing to do with the DA's office and there was nothing sinister about the mistake she made.
I have no dog in the fight.
She says in an effort to handle the indictment perfectly, she messed up.
I did a work sample in the system.
Huh?
And when I hit save, it went to the press queue.
Some news reporters saw it before it was deleted. Alexander says what they saw was unofficial.
It wasn't an official document. It wasn't official charges.
I have a question. Is that her in the background? Like, really? Do we not see what's going on? So this looks like a poster of her talking about elect me, re-elect me. Really? Is that what we're going to do? I think not. Doing something like this is pretty irresponsible. It's irresponsible at best. Downright corrupt at worst. Downright corrupt. You could say it was a mistake. You could say, oops, my bad. But that doesn't always fly. People always say, oh, I didn't mean to do it, I'm sorry, and still get locked up. So I'm not quite sure I'm buying it. Maybe it's incompetence. Maybe it was a mistake. But I'm not really going to give her the benefit of the doubt right here. I'm sorry.
Alexander says what they saw was unofficial.
It wasn't an official document. It wasn't official charges. It was the dry run. It was a work sample.
Even though it had a case number, Alexander says it didn't have a stamp and other markings that would have made it official. I asked her why did she release a statement calling the document fictitious.
That was the best word I could come up with. It was fictitious.
Oh, my goodness. The best word I could come up with, ma'am. I mean, look, just say, like, if it was a mistake, just say, hey, I messed up. We published the official charges before the grand jury convened. Because just to be clear here, the prosecution will propose charges to the grand jury, and then the grand jury has to vote on the charges to send them back. The judge gets it, seals it. Now we have an indictment. If that's wrong, any legal experts out there, please let me know in the comments. But that's generally how it works. What she did was circumvent that whole process by just leaking all the charges to the media before the grand jury had a chance to convene on it, before the judge was able to get it and seal it. The whole process was circumvented. All you got to do is say, oops, if that's truly what happened. Fictitious is just a bold-faced lie.
It wasn't real. It didn't have a stamp on it.
Why didn't you just say it was an error?
She says fictitious was what her team came up with.
We've been getting some calls.
Her office has received calls and emails with threats. People saying, "I'm coming to get you."
I'm not saying that's okay, but you got to understand what you're talking about. You're talking about indicting the former president. Some historic type stuff. You cannot make these so-called mistakes if, in fact, it was a mistake.
Those threats have been forwarded to the sheriff's office. Alexander says she was under a lot of pressure to get this right. Now she says she just wants to explain what happened and get back to work.
I tell my staff we just want to be transparent, right? And so I don't have anything to hide.
And Alexander says her mistake had no impact on the grand jury's decision. I asked her, how did she get her hands on those charges? She says she has access to that information as clerk of court. She says her office is taking those threats very seriously.
Oh boy, oh boy. So that's that. Now, can I say one thing? She's talking about, matter of fact, let me come back so you can see me clearly. She's saying that the leak had no impact on the jury, on the grand jury. Really? Is that what you think? From what I was able to read, the grand jury was supposed to convene and vote on the indictment on Tuesday. And then there would have been a press conference from Fonnie Willis at close of business on Tuesday. That's what I was reading. But since she leaked it Monday morning and then the news got it, the grand jury had to rush to convene that Monday. That resulted in Fonnie Willis having a 12 midnight press conference. So to say that it didn't affect him is just completely bogus. Of course it affected him because now the whole world sees what the charges are. So it's like, all right, now what are we going to do? Now we're rushed. Look, the investigation started February 2021. We're now in August 2023. And at the very end of this investigation process, before we get to the trial, you're rushing. So you took 2.5 years slow walking it to rush at the end. This was completely ridiculous, incompetent at best, outright corrupt at worst. But as I close, I want to say this. I don't think this is going to work out well for whoever wants this to happen, meaning anyone who wants to see Trump go to jail, Rudy Giuliani, anybody else. I mean, there's so many precedents that you're going to set and break. It's going to be a mess. How are you going to get lawyers indicted for trying to go about things in a legal way, trying to challenge things in a legal way? How does that really work? So if you have a lawyer and they say, hey, you know what, here's an avenue we can challenge this thing legally, and you pursue that avenue, then you get charged for that. I don't understand how that really works. It's like if you are a lawyer and your client comes to you and confesses something and then you don't tell the police. I mean, is there no more attorney-client privilege? There's all kind of things that are going on here. This is really crazy, really ridiculous. And ultimately, I think one more thing, they're going to do a mugshot in Fulton County. And I think it's going to come up like by next Friday. That's the limit that they've given everybody to turn themselves in voluntarily. So if Trump goes to Wright Street down Atlanta, turns himself in and gets a mugshot, that ain't gonna do nothing but just increase merchandise sales. He's gonna be selling t-shirts and coffee mugs and stickers and hats and all that with the mugshot on it. That's gonna increase his chances of getting a nomination and winning in 2024. And if he wins in 2024, he can not only pardon himself on the federal charges, but also the state charges and pardon everybody else involved if they get jammed up. So you're only doing this to try and distract, to try and keep him off the campaign trail, because you're not going to really hinder his chances of being able to win. There's only 3 qualifications you need to become the president: 35 years old, natural born U.S. citizen, and have lived 14 years in the USA. That's it. That's all. It doesn't say anything about being an ex-con. Doesn't say anything about being in the penitentiary. You can get locked up, go to jail with felonies, become the president, pardon yourself out, and get right back in the White House. That can absolutely happen. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? How do you feel about Shay Alexander's response? the clerk out there in Fulton County, do you think that it was a mistake? Do you think that she's just incompetent? Do you think that this was corruption? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. You guys know where I'm at. I think this is really kind of more incompetence, but a tidbit of corruption, because the charges themselves reek of corruption. You getting 19 people on RICO charges for challenging the election. Meanwhile, Hillary Clinton did the same thing. Many other Democrats did the same thing, and there's 0 charges, no problems. And these were not former presidents. These are just kind of like government employees. But a former president, you want to get on a total of 91 charges with 4 separate cases. And if convicted of all charges, 1,000 years in the penitentiary. This is prosecutorial misconduct and abuse of the system. And truly, as I've said many times before, a dog and pony show. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.